The price of XRP is still at 0.477, even though we have positive news highlighting how things are evolving and especially the level of adoption from another central bank, highlighting the fact that even this week we actually got great news, but the price is not reflecting that. Now, we do have a lot of other reasons why that is so, but primarily it's the Bitcoin side of things. We actually got slowed down at the 21-day moving average on Bitcoin, which actually is slowing the market down. But at the same time, do we have some hope? Yeah, I would say so. Because when we look at the weekly on Bitcoin, it actually shows you like, yeah, we actually closed last week below the 21-day moving average. But right now we are trying to get above that, and it is already nearing the end of the week. So if we manage to stay at this range and close somewhere about 26,400, 26,450, that is going to be a positive thing to watch. Why? You can actually take a line chart and observe that if that happens, that will actually show you the fact that on a weekly, Bitcoin is bouncing from the 21-day moving average, and that's going to pull the entire market to the upside, because we do have different narratives playing out in the market, and especially while you look at how things are evolving along with SEC to Binance and what the judge did to SEC. Now that's really positive and super bullish for a few months ahead. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of crypto. Right now, while we look at news, narrative and all, it is also important to look at BNB, and it is still slowly pushing higher to test this level. So it is actually crucial to look at what that asset is doing, because on the other end, you do notice the fact that dollar has been slowing down all the way from 104.7. We actually came close to 102. Right now, we are still in that range. And if you look at NASDAQ, it closed 100 points to the downside. Dow Jones did the same. So you actually get a narrative where the volatility index is actually dropping to the downside. So that means, yes, volatility is not increasing, but if you go back in history and look how things evolved when it was pushing to that lower end, that is when you actually see massive tops. That is when you actually see run-ups and a top forming and then collapsing. So it is going to be really interesting few weeks or months ahead for sure, but keep this in mind. While all of these things evolve in the market, we do have to understand the macro, the narrative, the news, everything is slowly turning positive. And while that's happening, we also have to understand the fact that Bitcoin dominance is slowly breaking higher. If you remember, while we came up here back in April, I was giving you the thought process like, okay, we do have some divergence. We are trying to break higher. But it did take like 2-3 months to push it through. Now that we see that the Bitcoin dominance has broken to the upside, it will show you the possibility that all coins is going to be slow from here. Now, what's the room to the upside? On a horizontal level, you can say 51 towards 58%. But why would I say 51, right? The main reason for that is if you actually follow the trend line formation here, you can say, okay, this is still a possibility of 57. But then if you try to connect all these points as much as possible, showing you the possible trend, you can say like, okay, somewhere here around 50, 51 is going to be a macro resistance. So yes, we'll have to wait and see how this react at the 51 level. If we do get a rejection there and bounce from this level, that is going to be bullish for the entire crypto market. However, if we actually break that level, it would be positive for Bitcoin, and the entire crypto market would be a little bit slow, but Bitcoin will show you that Bitcoin is leading the way. Now, here we are watching the next 24 hours to see how things are going to evolve. Now, while you zoom in, we kind of see a double top formation coming in. If you actually go on a line chart for Bitcoin USD, you'll actually see the formation like this. So if the price actually close below the range of 26,350, 26,700, it is going to be a little bit negative. It will show you that the price can actually drop towards 25,700, which again on a weekly is negative. So if you actually take a look at that on a daily time horizon, you can actually put in the perspective like, yeah, we are still inside the pattern. We haven't actually shifted anything. So keeping that in mind, if you actually jump back into XRP, yes, the weekly shows you 21-day moving average is somewhere close to 0.44, which is still a support, and we haven't yet reached that level. So we do have some room to the downside in the price as well as the RSI. So having that in the mind is going to be positive. Say, we're not going bullish right now. If the price happens to bounce back up, again 0.5 is going to be a level of resistance to watch out, because that was the level of support which we broke to the downside. So if we go back up or retest that level, it's still normal. And if we get rejected, now look for 0.4. But yes, we do have a short-term support somewhere close to 0.44. So if we manage to bounce off from there, that would show you, yes, just like Bitcoin, XRP also has a possibility to bounce off from the 21-day moving average on a weekly. That would increase the level of bullishness, which actually is happening on the fundamental side, the news, the narrative side, into the price action. Because as the value of an asset increases, so does the price. But usually the value goes first, then the market understands that value, and it may take some time. And that's why the saying actually is still relevant, that you need to be liquid longer than you think, because the market can actually behave irrationally. It can confuse you and surprise you at some point. So now, if you actually go back, look at the Bitcoin dominant side of things, we would also like to look at things like, okay, what's happening in the next 4 hours, right? We're looking for the 4-hour chart to see where we are, and we do understand the fact that we are at a resistance. And while the price is moving to the upside, you notice the fact that the RSI is slowing down. So short term, there is going to be an area where Bitcoin dominance is to slow down. So that is going to be positive for altcoins. And when you actually come onto the altcoin market, you would see like, okay, the major coins, the big cap coins are still slow. Some of these are trying to break higher, but on the macro side, they do have resistance pattern, the horizontal level, all those has to be kept in mind. And while you look for these assets, if you're looking for more details for a lot of these assets, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, while you keep on BNB on your side, do consider the daily chart and the channel formation here on the RSI, because that would actually give you an understanding that the horizontal level of support turning into resistance, as well as the channel that is acting as a resistance. If we get rejected at that point, it can push the entire crypto market to the downside to create a double bottom, in my opinion. Now, that's for the crypto market, but for BNB, if we break this particular level, we are looking for further low, somewhere close to 200 to 180. That can be a tough range. That is for sure. But yes, the fundamentals, the narratives are actually changing. The way CZ Binance actually gave this one out, it kind of looks interesting. At first, it was like, okay, that's just normal. But the way we actually see how those from media is actually portraying that, now we get to see like, okay, it's positive and it is conveying the information, being neutral, but giving the positive ideology into the market, and that is going to get digested. And this is all new, right? So the market is going to take some time to digest this information and then decide whether they should buy or sell. And these kind of positive news usually end up in an area like either I'm going to buy a little bit or a lot of it, but buying side is going to continue to the upside. That's for BNB and the entire crypto market. Just while we zoom in looking at XRP, we need to actually keep this in mind. These guys have been working with around 30 to 40 central banks around the globe, and right now you're getting slowly one by one central bank announcements. So we had Palau before, we had Bhutan, now we have Colombia. So one by one, we are actually watching how things are evolving. So the technology is valid, utility is valid, and central banks are entering on that platform. So it's XRP Ledger, not RippleNet. It's both different, and XRP Ledger gives you access to XRP. And if central banks are actually jumping onto that and using that, I don't actually care about the price today because the utility, the value, the fundamentals, it's all there. It's strong. So there is no doubt whether this asset is going to survive the long run. And one of the key points which we have discussed here over and over again is now being iterated by Stuart. And I'm like, okay, and that's like a reinforcement or a confirmation for what we have been discussing from like 2 years. They have been fighting so hard with the SEC in court, and right now, Stuart itself is giving you the idea. We are at the end of our journey, and others are the beginning stage. That means XRP, now Bitcoin, they just clearly announced that it's not a security, it's a commodity. And if this turns out to be true, then Bitcoin and XRP has legal clarity. The regulatory framework is set, and all those other assets would be fighting for the same. And if you look forward, institutions are not going to jump in when the SEC itself states that is a security. Whereas once you get the go ahead, you will see all these big institutions who actually push the price up for Ether coming in for XRP, and that is going to push the price to the upside. And that is one of the reasons why I think Brad is so confident here, and he usually never puts things like this out. And once you see such things coming out directly from Brad, and you understand the fact that, yeah, the Ether guys actually played a big role in this. And if you look at all the connections which we in XRP community went through, now it's all valid. It's not just a conspiracy. It looked like that in the initial part of this, but by halfway through, a lot of us were sure like, no, that's no way a conspiracy. It's the truth. Right now, the entire market is starting to understand that, and that is why you see this highly vitamin-filled butter is actually feeling the same. Now, just jokes. Anyway, guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. That is much appreciated. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.